The tank is on. Thanks to what I'm calling Dorian Tank Robinson. Shout out to someone in the chat that came up with that name. The Browns lost to the Dolphins 20-3. They couldn't even score a touchdown. And Cleveland now holds the third overall draft pick. When it comes to tiebreakers for the draft, there's only one: strength of schedule. You can see that on the right-hand side. The easier the schedule you had, the earlier you will pick in the draft. So let's talk about the Browns' path to the number one overall draft pick in April. The Browns are going to play the Ravens, who will have something to play for in Week 18. Meanwhile, the Patriots, they are going to play the Bills, who will rest their starters most likely since Buffalo is locked into the 2 seed. Meanwhile, the Tennessee Titans are going to play the Houston Texans, who are locked into the 4 seed. They can't go up, they can't go down. It was kind of like the Browns last year in Week 18. They were locked into that wild card spot. So, with that in mind, 2 teams picking ahead of Cleveland with the same record. So if they win, they will move behind the Browns no matter what. And if the Browns lose, Cleveland will be picking number 1 overall in the draft. I don't really care to break down this Browns-Dolphins game. If you missed it, good for you. I wish I was you. That was not fun 3 hours of my time. But I will spend some time right now talking about the Browns potentially getting a top 2 draft pick. Right now they're picking 3, and I don't think they're going to beat the Ravens, which, I mean, hand up for the last couple of weeks, I said I think the Browns are going to pick between 5 and 7. And if they beat the Ravens, if they had beat the Dolphins, they would have been picking 8th overall instead. But what I did not take into account was the Raiders all of a sudden playing like jobs are on the line, which they are, and winning 2 straight games, and the Giants winning their first home game of the season, clearing the way for the Browns to get to the top 3 of the draft order. So let's talk a little bit about the Browns potentially getting the first overall draft pick or even the second overall draft pick. I'm going to say a very unpopular opinion right now. I do not want the Browns to draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. I don't think either one is top 3 draft worthy. I mean, neither one in college showed me anything to believe that they are a no-doubter franchise quarterback. Did we see good things? Are there pros to their resume? Absolutely. There is a lot to like about them. But when you pick a quarterback first or second overall, there has to be no doubt about it in your mind. There is doubt. And that for me is enough to go, if I'm the Browns, ideally they trade the pick away. That's what I would like Cleveland to do if they get a top 2 draft pick. Trade it to a QB desperate team like the Giants or like the Raiders. And that's not to say the Browns aren't QB needed themselves, but this is not the year to try and fix your quarterback problems. You finally get back in the first round of the draft. You are trying to recover from 3 years of no first-round picks. You know it's a great remedy to that? Getting more future first-round draft picks. That's going to help balance the tide of going 3 years where the earliest you picked was Mike Hall, 52nd overall. It's time to start to restock and replenish your draft capital. You may not like the guy that's making the picks. You may not like the coach that's coaching the picks, but the more picks, the better. Especially when you're trading a first or second overall pick, you can get a lot of quality draft picks. And right now, the Browns have so many holes that Cam Ward is not going to fix this team. Shedeur Sanders, who I'll just say it out loud, is not going to play for Cleveland because Deion's not going to let him. So don't get your hopes up. I don't think Deion, who has said, this is not just us fabricating it, that if the situation's not right, if it's not a good system in place, he's not going to let his son go there. I don't think he's going to look at Cleveland as a destination he is willing to let his son go play for, with the track record the Browns have of drafting quarterbacks and them being failures. Trade the pick. Get a ton for it. Use those picks then to beef up an aging offensive line. Give Myles Garrett a partner on the other side to work with. Add to your secondary because Denzel Ward's the only good player in that unit this year, and he continues to battle injuries throughout his career. Get Travis freaking Hunter, the Heisman winner. Go trade the pick move back and get future picks, get second round picks, get third round picks, get more picks. If you ask me what I want the Browns to do, it's that. I do not want to see them take Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders first or second overall. I do not think it's going to work out. Obviously, when you say stuff like that when it comes to the draft, it takes a long time for that prediction to become true or false. We won't know after their first year. We may not know after their second year. And no one really remembers 3 or 4 years later who said what about draft prospects. But I'll go on the record right now and say I don't think taking Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders first or second overall is going to work out for that team. I will put myself up to be burned at the stake if I'm wrong. But I'm going to give you my opinion. That's it right there. More to talk about in just a second. First, I got to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is super fun and simple to use. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then you can win up to 1,000 times your cash during Pickmas. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. They put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Great work by producer Reed for pulling this up because we talked about this a few days ago, and that is before I really thought the Browns had any chance of a number 1 overall draft pick, the Red Sea started apart with some unexpected losses like the Giants to the Colts and the Raiders winning 2 straight games when they won 2 games all year up to that point. But those teams have won games, and now you look at the Week 18 schedule. The Colts are going to play the Jags. Obviously, the Jags being behind the Browns don't really impact Cleveland too much, but the Browns are going to play the Ravens. Ravens are going to be hungry for a win. The Patriots are going to play a Bills team that has nothing to play for. Buffalo is locked into that 2 seed. They can't get to the 1 seed. That's clinched by Kansas City. And they can't fall to the 3 seed because they are going to be, with 13 wins, no matter what happens, 1 game ahead of the Ravens or the Steelers. So, Bills, nothing to play for. So, the Patriots, is it out of the question for Drake May to beat Mitch Trubisky? I don't think so. Patriots win that game. Browns move up 1 spot. They're picking 2 at the very minimum. And then you've got the Titans playing the Texans. The Texans have nothing to play for. They are stuck at 4. They can't catch the Steelers or the Ravens at 3, and they are stuck at 4 because they're going to win the division, so they're not going down to 5. So I could see Mason Rudolph beating, who's their backup? What's his face? I'm blanking on his name. Say it again. Davis Mills. Thank you. Mills Mafia. I don't think that's impossible. How many times in the NFL have we seen crazy, wacky stuff happen in Week 18? Remember when the city of Buffalo sent wings to Cincinnati for beating the Ravens and putting the Bills in the postseason? This stuff happens. It's the NFL. Any given Sunday. Anyone can beat anyone. This is your rooting guide. We are pulling for the Titans to win. We are pulling for the Patriots to win. And then when the Browns get the first overall pick, I want them to trade it. Get more draft picks. Make up for the fact that you went 3 years and you only had 1 pick in the first or second round to show for. And that was Mike Hall last year. That's got to be step 1 of plugging the roster holes. This team is more than, I would say an overrated quarterback, but a highly touted quarterback because that's what we do in the country, in sports fans, NFL fans. We build up quarterbacks, and sometimes they don't live up to the billing because teams are so desperate for a quarterback. I do not believe this is the year to take a quarterback first or second. I just don't think either one should have first or second overall pick pedigree. I mean, for starters, not to try to completely just drown these quarterbacks because I do like Cam Ward and there's a lot to like about Shedeur, but there's not enough to like for them to go first or second overall. That's where I'm disconnected from the rest of the country. Are they even a top 10 player in this draft? Like, honestly, if you just rank the prospects, find me a prospect ranking that has them top 10. I've yet to see one. So with a roster like the Browns that has a lot of help needed on the offensive line, in the secondary, a defense that took a major step back this year, I think it's in the team's best interest to build a roster and then go after a quarterback in 2026. That's my preferred plan for the Browns. So yeah, I think a game happened today, by the way. The Browns lost to the Dolphins. It sucked. And we only have one more game to watch. So that's that. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Quick shout out to the Brown and Orange Club. We had a couple of new members get added, so appreciate all of you that have been watching with us for the entire season. But I do want to give a big shout out to the newest members like Invalid Argument. Doug Wick joined last week as well. But on top of that, we had Brian Petticourt. We had Lawrence Burkett, Kathy, Jim. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. It was actually a pretty fun watch party today, despite the game being an absolute snooze fest. But go Brownies, and the tank is on, baby.